Hello everyone. In this video, we will discuss the top 10 make-to-stock manufacturing ERP systems in 2025. So let's dive right in.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
My name is Sam Gupta. I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent vendor agnostic ERP and digital transformation consulting firm. We help our clients with technology strategy, system selection, and change management. On that note, let's go back to today's topic, which is the top 10 make-to-stock manufacturing ERP systems in 2025. Before we look at the list, let's align our understanding on make-to-stock manufacturing ERP systems and how we define that bucket. For the most part, we are looking at every single business model as part of make-to-stock industries, whether they are going to be product-centric companies or they are going to be slightly more consulting service-centric companies serving the make-to-stock manufacturing industries. We combine all of these under one bucket because their processes are going to be similar in certain areas. Now, if you're looking for very specific business model, then you need to go deeper in your analysis and you need to pay close attention to the commentary as I talk about each of the product. That's where I will be discussing where each product shines among these business models. Some of the unique layers that MTS has compared to other manufacturing modes. For example, when you compare this with make to order or your engineer to order or project manufacturing, those are some of the other modes that generally are discussed in the context of make to stock. For the most part, make to stock companies are going to be very heavy on the inventory and supply chain processes. For the most part, the products that the make to stock companies are producing, they are going to be inventoried and they need to be planned. And that's why the S&OP processes are very strong as well. And that's why you are going to find a lot more supply chain centric products as well as consulting companies operating in this. And now this is across the industries. So whether you are going to be in construction or distribution, food and beverage, all of those could be make to stock manufacturing as well, as long as they are going to have some sort of make to stock centric business model. The criteria that we have used to compile this list is product share, the acquisition strategy focused on make to stock industries, product roadmap, community, ecosystem, win rate, technology strategy, and investors. So now let's look at the list. Number 10 on our list is SysPro. And SysPro is ideal for make-to-stock companies outgrowing QuickBooks. For the most part, it's relatively smaller product for smaller companies. And because the process layer as well as the data model, it's going to be much easier to adopt and implement for these smaller companies compared to slightly larger products. Now, SysPro, even though it is smaller, it does have very deep operational capabilities, especially around discrete plus process plus distribution processes. And generally, most of the products on this list are going to rely on other add-ons. For example, they might be discrete-centric product, but for process, they might require an add-on, or their processes might be very manufacturing flavored, so they might not have the real distribution resource planning, which is GRP, processes baked as part of the model. And that's where SysPro is really strong in these three different processes. Where SysPro is not going to be strong in slightly more engineer to order centric processes. So if you have MTO plus engineer centric processes combined as part of your model, then SysPro might not be the best fit. It is a better fit for the food and beverage centric distribution companies, just because their products are not going to be as complex compared to slightly more engineered products. The ERP layers are very deep and very scalable. and generally they are compared with other products such as your SAP Business One, Acumatica. They are going to have very similar unit of measure. Sometimes SysPro could be deeper. They have some of the advanced capabilities such as your activity-based costing, which is generally included with SAP products. Other products might not have that. Again, whether you want to use that as part of your business model operations or not, that's going to be a different question. But SysPro does have those capabilities. Limitations to keep in mind is limited global layers, and then requires third-party add-ons for the complementary capabilities. So even though it is a prescriptive product, it might not have everything that might be included. For example, let's say if you go to ECI.com, they might have a lot more integrations, or if you go for Aptean, they might have a lot more integrations pre-baked as part of their model. So for the make-to-stock companies, all of those integrations may need to be sourced through third parties. And their tech has been improved, but not as much as the other vendors. So that's number 10. Number 9 on our list is Oracle Cloud ERP. In general, Oracle Cloud ERP is much larger product. So if you are going to be an MTS company which is trying to consolidate the make-to-stock operating model globally, then your Oracle Cloud ERP is going to be a better fit. But it might not have as deep operational capabilities. So that's where you would require a lot more add-ons. And because of that, your implementation is probably going to be more expensive. You would require a lot more effort in general to implement that. Some other strengths. So the financial layers that it is going to have are designed for very enterprise grade companies. The ERP layers are very scalable. That's why it works with very complex business models along with your MTS, and then scalability for the diverse business models as well. Some limitations. Last mile capabilities, as I have already pointed out, and it's going to be expensive and it will require consulting help. So that's number 9. Number 8 on our list is SAP S/4HANA. SAP S/4HANA is a very similar product as your Oracle Cloud ERP. For the most part, it does really well in the enterprise space. So if you're a very large enterprise company trying to consolidate your global make-to-stock operations, then you are probably going to consider SAP S/4HANA as well as Oracle Cloud ERP as part of the mix. Some strengths to keep in mind, again, very similar to your Oracle Cloud ERP, financial layers, core ERP layers, and scalability for the diverse business models. Limitations are very similar as well. Last mile capability is expensive, and then you would require substantial consulting help to navigate complex ERP layers. So that's number 8. Number 7 on our list is Infor Cloud Suite Industrial Sightline. And Infor Cloud Suite Industrial Sightline does really well in slightly more make-to-stock, engineer-to-order, highly configured, highly engineered products. So it is not going to have as deep processes from the supply chain S&OP perspective, even though they claim that they have the mixed mode manufacturing capabilities, but it does not work as well with the make to stock companies, especially if they are going to have process centric manufacturing needs. They are going to have complex manufacturing from the make to stock perspective, from the supply chain perspective. That's where they are not going to be as great fit. Some strengths to keep in mind is the other manufacturing modes are supported. So if you are looking for a mixed mode manufacturing product along with make to stock, then this could be a great product. But if you are a pure play make to stock, this might not be the best fit. CPQ processes. So again, their CPQ is very, very complex. In general, make to stock companies are not going to have as complex CPQ processes, so it might be overkill, but they do have CPQ included, integrated as part of their model. Their BOMs are very fluid, so in general, the make-to-stock companies, sometimes they could be regulated if you are going to be in the medical device space, but they can support both of those processes, whether you are going to be fluid or you are going to be regulated, but they are not going to mandate that, so that could be a plus. Some limitations, not necessarily an MTS product, limited consulting base, and technology is not as upgraded as some of the other products that we have on this list. So that's number 7. Number 6 on our list is Infor Cloud Suite LN M3. So these are two completely different products. For the most part, LN is probably not going to be a great fit for the MTS-centric verticals because for the most part, it is positioned for those highly engineered products. But let's say if you have a mix of MTS plus make to order plus engineer to order, then you might want to consider LN as a potential option. M3 is probably a better fit for MTS companies, and the reason for that is a lot of these are going to be food and beverage centric companies, chemical centric companies. That's where you have a lot more make to stock exposure. So M3 is probably going to be a better fit for these verticals. So some strengths to keep in mind is number one, if you are going to have global manufacturing footprint and you're looking for global collaboration, global trade compliance centric features, then Info Cloud Suite LN M3 are probably going to be better fit. The advanced warehouse operations such as your handling units are supported as part of the product. That might not be available with these smaller products. So again, this is designed for slightly bigger companies, and the other manufacturing modes are going to be as well represented as your make to stock. So some limitations. M3, as I mentioned, is probably closer to MTS product. LN, not so much. Limited ecosystem and consulting base, and technology is not as upgraded compared to the other products on this list. So that's number 6. Number 5 on our list is Acumatica. And Acumatica is ideal fit for smaller make-to-stock companies outgrowing QuickBooks. Some of the strengths to keep in mind is scalable ERP layers, at least for smaller companies. It's not a global product. It may not be the best fit for companies consolidating global operations. But if you're going to have limited operations, maybe a couple of sites in North America, then Acumatica could be a great fit. Their technology is cloud native, so that's a huge plus with Acumatica. And consumption-based pricing, sometimes it does work in favor with companies that are going to have lower transaction volume, but make sure you do your research. Depending upon how many transactions you have, in general, MTS is probably going to have a lot more transactions, so that could fire back. But that's a plus with Acumatica. Some limitations. Process manufacturing. So if you're going to have process manufacturing flavors, then they would require an add-on. Those processes are not necessarily built as part of the product. And then F&B capabilities would require an add-on as well. The global capabilities would be supported either through add-on or some sort of consolidation layer that you need to implement on top that is not built as part of the product. So that's number 5. Number 4 on our list is IQMS or Dalmia Works. So Dalmia Works does really well in the plastic-centric spaces, and for the most part, plastic-centric companies are probably going to be make to stock just because these are not very complex products. They are probably going to be injection molded. So for the most part, these plastic-centric companies are going to be a fit for IQMS or Dalmia Works. So some strengths to keep in mind is prescriptive integrations, including PLM and CAD. They are very successful. The mode is tailored for plastic-centric companies. Cheaper implementation because of the prescriptive model. Some limitations: limited consulting base and ecosystem, not as diverse, and the R&D budget is not as much as some of the other vendors on this list. So that could be a challenge, especially with their AI roadmap. So those are some of the limitations, and that's number 4. Number 3 on our list is Apicor Kinetic. And Apicor Kinetic is a very interesting product as well. The way their bombs as well as their product model is designed, for the most part, it is designed for very engineer to order centric companies. Yes, they have a little bit of distribution workflows as well. The distribution capabilities or the supply chain capabilities could be deep, but then the bombs or the regulated workflows that they have from their product perspective could be overwhelming for some companies as well as the industries. But at the same time, let's say if you have very complex product attributes that you utilize as part of the planning, and that is going to be applicable for some of the make to stock companies, then Apicor Kinetic is probably going to be a better fit. So some strengths, again, complex inventory is probably a keyword that you need to keep in mind, and that's where Apicor Kinetic really shines. The revision number mandate, and it does mandate revision number. So again, it's much better fit for companies that care for compliance, that are struggling with compliance, and they need to make sure that revision number is going to be part of the BOM. For that, Epicor Kinetic is a better fit. And then it can support other manufacturing business models as well. So that's a plus. Now, some limitations to keep in mind is limited global layers for larger companies. For larger companies, you might need to take some workarounds. So depending upon what your priority is, and then it might be bloated for smaller companies. In general, Epicor Kinetic is much larger product. So if you are very small, you might struggle with implementation, etc. If you don't have internal maturity from the data, from the process perspective, from the implementation perspective. And it's not going to be as diverse. So those are some of the limitations, and that's number 3. Number 2 on our list is Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O. And F&O product is probably a better fit for global make-to-stock companies consolidating their financial operations. So some strengths to keep in mind is customizability is probably a keyword. In general, customizability, depending upon how your operations are structured, some companies do need that. If you need, then probably F&O is going to be a great product. In general, that's probably not a requirement for the product-centric companies, especially make-to-stock. But again, if you need that, F&O is a great product. Ecosystem, they are very well prevalent in their ecosystem. The number of options that they are going to have, you can support many different business models. So that's a huge plus. And then strong core ERP layers. The core ERP layers are very strong globally, global representation. So that's a huge strength. Some limitations to keep in mind is last mile capabilities, unproven add-ons, as well as limited direct Microsoft support. The way their channel is structured, Microsoft relies on their partners to provide support. You are not going to have as much direct support, from Microsoft. So that could be a little negative, and that's number 2. Number 1 on our list is QAD. And QAD is ideal for mid-sized make-to-stock companies. And for the most part, the way QAD model is designed, it is very deep into supply chain-centric industries. And that's why it is very well positioned for make-to-stock companies. Strengths, global trade, most MTS components pre-integrated. And they have also announced a new version, which is going to be cloud native, even though it is not as well adopted as proven today, but they are going to get there. So that's a huge excitement in their portfolio as well as ecosystem. Some limitations, not as diverse and limited consulting base and ecosystem. And so those are some of the limitations, and that's number 1. If you enjoyed this video, we publish these videos on a weekly basis on our YouTube channel. So you might want to subscribe to that. If you prefer audio version, it's available on major podcasting platform. So head over there, check it out, and subscribe if you like. And we are also going to link up a detailed report that is going to have much deeper analysis. So you might want to download that. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.